Okay, welcome back to episode 2. Thanks for
Episode 2 of And Now We're Talking.
real estate
Real estate.
with myself, Gillian Stickney, and my co-host.
Michelle Patterson Nipp.
All right, well, thank you guys for making it back to episode 2 or starting here. Either
Yeah.
way, we're happy you're here.
We're easy and we certainly don't discriminate.
No, we don't. Yeah, you want to jump in whatever, fine by us. So we're just happy to have you. And if you need to tap out, not going to blame you. So anyways, you know, I told Michelle I wanted to have sort of our first topic for the second episode. And I didn't want to let her know what it was because I wanted to be spontaneous because I think that's sort of when we vibe best, when we're not sort of
And this took a lot for me. I like to kind of have a little bit of an idea, a
some
little bit of a
control.
plan to know what I'm talking about.
No,
I'm a
you're
little scared.
No, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Okay, so basically, I just wanted, and I feel like this is appropriate because we're sort of ground floor here, but I want our listeners to know a little bit about, so me and you together. How did we meet? What's our history? What's our backstory?
Oh, lordy. This is good.
Right? I know. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're gonna love it, but I didn't want you to know what it was. So,
I love it.
yeah. So you can start, or I can start, or whatever you want.
Okay, well, I'll start. Now, I left a 10-year career in
Ooh.
nursing.
I was gonna try and pause you before that because that. Anyways,
Okay.
no. Go on. Okay, yeah. Let's start. Let's start there.
Okay, well, I left a 10-year career in nursing, like I said, and I was searching for offices, and I fell upon, what was it called at the time?
Sutton Challenge.
Sutton Challenge. I think it had just changed over to
Oh.
Realty Executive.
Okay, so yes, because when I had so Michelle, she's bearing the lead. Michelle and I are out of the same. We both started at the same office, and so when we were younger realtors back in
Yes.
the day, we were out of the same office, and that's how we met. Although I will say, asterisk, there's a connection that we had before that we
We didn't really know about, and I
no, we didn't. But
Oh.
there's actually some real interesting layers with us here today. Now, do you see do you know where I'm going with that?
I think I know where you're going. I
Anyways,
think I know
yeah.
where you're going with this.
Yeah. So maybe I should tell Michelle more about what's going on. So
Yes, because there's so many directions that this could take.
Totally. So, but I guess what I thought would be interesting for our listeners to know, because I think sometimes some of them know you or some of them know me, but they
Yep.
don't know us together. So Michelle and I sort of are similar vintage realtors we started at the same office, and actually
Vintage.
respect to Michelle, she's still at that office. So
Yeah.
but
I'm a
anyways,
loyal girl.
yeah, I'm a fickle pickle. So anyways, yeah, but Michelle and I know each other originally from being out of the same office. And what's another fun fact that maybe is like a cool thread that has kept us together, brought us together?
Definitely. We
Well,
share a birthday.
we share the same birthday.
We
Yes.
share a
So,
birthday.
just sort of that kindred spirit connection. And so even though we haven't been out of the same office in many years, we've still stayed connected. We always do something for our birthday. Hasn't always been on our birthday, but actually I would say lately we're pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll usually do a birthday lunch and
On our birthday,
Yeah.
November 4th.
November 4th for anyone who wants to send us some birthday cheer. But yeah, so we have that sort of interesting little connection. And we also are both old school Riverbend girls, but we never went to the same schools
No.
or had sort of anyone in common at that time. Or so
We thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But Michelle has worked with not one Stickney child,
No.
but 2 Stickney children.
2 Stickney children.
Yes.
And you know what's kind of cool?
Do tell.
We are now recording.
That was where yes, this is awesome, you guys. Tell Michelle.
So I worked with Paul back in the day.
Paul is my brother.
Gillian's brother and younger brother, right?
He wishes. No, older.
Older.
You guys are probably same age.
That's right. We are the same age. And I keep forgetting that I'm older than you.
I don't.
Yes, you don't. You
Yeah.
see, and you
I do
remind me
mention
every
it
time.
Probably every birthday lunch. I always, yeah. Anyway.
Like early 90s. I worked with Paul Stickney at, what was it called? Cineplex Odeon
Yeah. White Mud
in
Crossing.
White Mud Crossing. And it was a brand spanking new theater at the time. And he was this tall guy. He was super nice. And back at the day, all of the guys tended to be ushers in the movie theater, and the girls were stuck behind the counter selling
Concession.
candy
Yeah.
at the concession stand. Incidentally, we had to do the math and add up all of those orders in our head.
Oh, wow.
We didn't have any cashier,
That would
like,
be so
cash
dangerous,
register.
Grace.
Oh my god.
Now, I mean, maybe I shouldn't even be talking about this. Was there some sort of I just mouthed the word theft, like, I feel like there was some sort of I could be totally making this up, but
Uh, there's something that had gone down in that regard, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, just when you're telling how the procedure was,
I know,
like, this
right?
doesn't sound very safe or smart or I
Well,
don't know.
because they didn't have cashiers or any way of, like, actually inputting and checking how much was sold and how much was being, the money that was coming in, we had to actually count the cups. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
weird.
we had to count the cups, we had to count the
Wait,
bags.
should we have Wogsy? I probably shouldn't say that, I'm gonna get in trouble. Should we have Paul as a guest one day?
Maybe.
We could
But he never had to go through that because he was an usher.
what a jerk.
Gosh. So at the beginning of every shift, we had to, like, physically count the amount of extra small popcorn bags, medium
Oh,
popcorn
wow.
bags, and they were all, like, done in stacks of 50, and then that was the way they kinda did their checks and
Yeah, yeah.
balances,
The
by doing the
cool.
inventory before each shift and after each shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say to our listeners right now, I think we did warn that this is about other things other than real estate. But we also love a good tangent. So but I just think, to me, I think it's really sort of that,
Yeah.
you and I, we sort of started together in the industry of real estate so long ago, but kind of are some other like interesting connections or threads that tie us together and just like, same birthday trivia. So I just kind
Yeah.
of thought it would be fun to start off today's episode with a little context of like, how you and I have known each other and the evolution of our relationship and just kind of
Well, certainly, and after we found out that we had the same birthday, because I think it was maybe a year
yeah,
or
we
so.
figured it out pretty quickly.
You thought?
I think so. I mean, we were both at the same office when we did, and that
Yeah.
only was probably for several years.
Yeah.
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 And we've kept up the tradition
Yeah.
of going out for lunch on our birthdays. And during those times, we would have these great discussions
Mhm.
about real estate and other things.
Yeah.
And we said, let's do the podcast.
Well, and I mean, I think like it's always been like we should be recording this. And then I think we're like, well, yeah, that's a podcast. Then it's like we should do a podcast. And then it's so funny because on November 4th this last year, we had our birthday lunch. It was delightful. We were outside saying our goodbyes, and you were really like, yeah, let's do this podcast. And I was like, yeah, you sort of spearhead it because I don't really know. And then I literally walked away. Like I was totally like, yes, 100% let's do it. And I walked away and totally forgot. And then you kinda called me out a few months later.
Well, when we were talking at the beginning of the year,
Yeah, about the
right?
forecast, and we're like, "Here's a good topic," and anyway, so I feel like our listeners are up to speed.
So far, but I have a feeling that we will, share some nuggets of ourselves throughout
Yeah, yeah, and
each
just our
episode.
history and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and but I feel like that sort of does like, I wanted people to kinda have, yeah, just a bit of an idea of you and my's relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and then so let's talk a little bit about our first office, which is still your current office.
Yeah, it's still my current office.
So when I started, it was called Sutton Challenge. So Sutton is the brand, Challenge is the office. So
Right.
and that was back in the beginning of 2004. So Sutton was actually kind of like a known real estate name. Like it was a secondary kind of name.
Plus, it was Canadian,
Mm-hmm. I,
which was a huge draw.
I like the way it sounded. Like,
Mm.
because some offices, it doesn't roll off your tongue that well. Like I just liked Sutton. And if I can share like the memory. So especially back in the day, like everything is a lot more virtual and online and, but back in the early 2000s, I actually went to what I call real estate school. And I have air quotes up right now because I went to a classroom setting and that's
Yeah.
how I got my license. Did you? Because online was just coming in then.
But I still did a classroom
Yeah.
setting.
Yeah.
You can, when you decide to become a realtor and you have the choices of how you're going to learn,
Obtain your license.
obtain
Yeah.
your license. Back then, you could choose between in-class, correspondence, and
Correspond.
and for me, correspondence is like, I'll correspond with those books later, and I'll never get it done.
I know, I needed the accountability, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which is why I chose going into the classroom.
Yes.
So I did it through a class.
Yeah, same here. And so, but what you did was I think, I don't know if some people know this, but as a realtor, like we pick the office, not
Yeah,
the office picking us.
yeah.
Because basically we're the customer to the office, really. Like we pay our office, monthly dues and we pay for them to be there, support us. Like they're a service for us and we do need to operate out of a brokerage. I mean, if we wanted after 2 years, we can become a broker and just have our own office, but that's nothing that
And
I'm
you
interested in.
and you still need to get educated to be a
Oh,
broker
yeah.
too, right? So
Yeah.
there's a whole other set
Yeah.
of information and education you need to learn.
I guess just like letting the office, letting the listener know
Yeah.
that, yeah, like you're going to be out of an office. So basically, once you kind of get licensed or you're in that process, you're looking for, like, you're seeking out an office, not kind of
The other
applying or
way
anything. Yeah.
around.
Like
Yeah.
you're trying to select your office. And
So how many did you interview a lot of brokers?
yeah, so it was funny because, I mean, hindsight is 2020. And you don't know what you don't know, but when I first started, I was like, "Oh, Remax, I can't go there, that's too big," right?
Mm,
Like, so I think at the time, I know I interviewed 3 different Suttons and I think, like, maybe a C21
right.
because I think what happened was I was like, "I like Sutton." Like I said, it rolls off the tongue. I'm like,
Sure.
"This is how I make my decisions." And it was actually really interesting because at that time, I lived in my first home, which was in Park Allen, and there was a Sutton Polaris, and so that was actually closer to me. So was Devonshire. I didn't go there. I don't know don't know why I didn't go there. That was the closest
Yeah.
interestingly. And so I thought I was gonna go to Polaris, but that broker, I don't know how to, uh, maybe say this nicely. Like he didn't seem interested at all in
Mm,
like having like it's like he didn't think I was gonna be successful. He didn't like a lot of brokers would follow up. Like it's literally like, yeah, they want you to work at their office because
yeah.
you're a paycheck for them every month. Like
Yeah.
they don't care how much business you're doing, any of
Nope.
that. And so I went there and I thought, "Oh, yeah, this is the office I'm gonna go to," and that agent just was, like, not interested in me at all,
Mhm.
and I was kinda like, I don't really care for this." I went to Sutton Challenge, so Gary Zimmel, broker of all brokers, still my favorite broker to the day. I still remember, like, over 22 years ago now, walking into that office. I remember who was there. Gary was basically coming up to the front with Helen Claver.
My
He
gosh.
introduced me to Helen Claver, and he's like, "Hey," and I just remember walking in and I knew. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, "This is my office," and it
Yeah.
was. Like, I had such a phenomenal start, such a good time in the industry, met so many awesome like, I love that as my first office. So
Yeah.
that was sort of, and meeting you, like, it was all yeah, that was such a great, fun first office, and yeah, I just remember walking in there and I knew.
And I had a similar experience.
Okay, yeah,
And,
so what was your journey in selecting a brokerage?
okay, so I had interviewed 3,
Okay, which
which 3? Okay, and Sutton had just changed
okay,
to
so
Realty
yeah,
Executive
so
because when
let's
I was looking in the phone book,
wait, yellow pages or
I'm
white
talking
pages?
yellow pages, my dear. Looking through the phone book, and I'm like, okay, they had their Sutton banner, they had the Canada Maple Leaf, and I was like, oh, Canadian. I'm like, okay, I like this.
Yeah,
So I interviewed the North Star
Dan
office.
Gitzel.
Yes,
I went and met with Dan too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, which sadly isn't there anymore.
Yeah, that one didn't stay too much longer.
Um,
5-ish years?
well, I think it was a bit longer than that, but yeah, it's not there anymore.
Yeah, and I didn't get the vibe. Like, nothing
Yeah,
against it, and he certainly tried harder than Polaris, but anyway,
right.
moving on.
And then also Remax Central.
Good for you going to a Remax. Oh, she's
You
gonna give us
know
news
what?
now
Oh, I'm not
because
gonna
because
no.
she's
I didn't have any preconceived notions,
okay.
and I think it was closer to me.
Yes.
And this is what's funny, right? Is that Remax was closer. Remax Central was closer. It was at the time, because they've moved, at the time, it was by the old Labatt's Brewery
Yep.
in Oliver. I'm sorry, I'm not going to pronounce the name of what Oliver is now.
Wicca, we wanna
I don't what do we want? I don't know. But
win?
that's where it was, so it was definitely closer to me. And then also Sutton or Realty Executive North Star
Mhm.
was
Closer.
close as well. But for some reason, when I went well, it's not for some reason, it was for the exact same reason that you had mentioned, that there was just that connection, and it's like, this is a broker who is gonna ease me into this change of careers for me. So that's why I picked challenge and great support, and I'm
Well, I
still
just
there.
yeah, like, I just think, like, it's that sort of sixth sense, that intuition. Like, for me, I walked in and I knew, and I think it's interesting that you and I both sort of we didn't pick the closest in
No,
proximity, and I will say that was back at a time when you spent a
that
lot more
mattered.
yeah, like, you spent a lot more time in the office. For
Yes.
me now,
Yeah.
I'm at my office like 5 minutes a month, like,
Yeah.
but this was back when you faxed everything and people didn't have a fax machine. It was just life was so different, but you were in at the office most days.
You would meet clients at the
Yeah.
office. We had our Monday meetings
Yeah, there were
at the
so many more
office.
people involved. It was so different. So for us to sort of nowadays, there's virtual offices basically,
Yeah.
really, but for us to sort of be, hey, we're going to be physically commuting to this place maybe numerous times a day and to make the drive, like, that's
Yeah.
saying something, right?
Right.
So but I think we stand by our choice, and it was great, right?
Well, the one thing too about real estate, when you first start, you have to realize, especially if you're coming from a job where you get a paycheck every month, where supplies are given to you, like you pay for
Vacation time,
everything. You
sick
get vacation, sick
days.
days, all that, benefits.
Yeah, totally, totally.
But you have to pay for everything. So even if you wanted an office in the office, you had to pay rent,
Yeah, that's extra.
right? You had to
Yeah.
pay that.
Oh, you
That
want
was
a
coming out
printed
of your
piece of
pocket.
paper? That's
You're
extra.
paying for that.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, as a realtor, you're out money every month, so you better be making some deals because, yeah, you have to pay money every month, and you don't, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a base salary? Like some
Oh,
commission
yeah.
jobs, like it's like, "Okay, well, we're gonna give you a bit of money." Like, so not only do we not have that, we're literally out money every month. Yeah.
Yeah. And so coming into the office, you'd be there all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, we
And
both
definitely
have offices at that
and
office.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, like, we would go there every day. And I think too, when you're starting a career in real estate, coming into the office,
Yeah,
being around people who are doing business, being in that environment is very important.
1000%.
Yeah, because you have to immerse yourself into into that type of a career, right? To know what you do from day to day.
Well, you mean like, I think even nowadays, it's really valuable, and that's
Yeah.
why I kind of hummed and hawed because I have been a bit, I guess, bad in that respect, but over the last handful of years, especially, like, COVID forward, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I had already been, like, less and less time at the office, and then COVID happened, and it's like I kinda had been down to 5 minutes a month. I am actually making some efforts to be in a bit more because even as an experienced agent, it's still a valuable asset. Just
Yeah.
having the conversations with the other agents, being in the mix, maybe you kinda pick up an interesting idea or
Right.
a tip about something or you make like, it's just interesting how involved and how much about relationships and connections and things like that this industry and business still is.
And I find that it's funny because we both have offices, but now I have a home office, you have a home office,
Correct.
and I found that sometimes having an office at the office could be a little distracting too.
Oh, 1000%.
1000%.
Who would have been distracting you? Well, could it have been me? I
Because everybody else is coming into the
yes.
office
Oh,
saying, "Oh, I need to talk to people," and they're usually finding the people who are there working, right? So it
no.
gets a little
Oh,
distracting.
1000%. Have I burnt tons of hours on, yes, like discussions that were real. Like, okay, so I still remember. Okay, so first of all, you introduced me to bubble tea. So that was like something in your office.
Did
But
I?
yeah, but think that was
Nice.
actually, that would have been like 15 plus years ago.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, you had, like, nail polish remover, like we do our nail, like,
Yes.
you do get distracted by some other things.
My
So
office was stacked. I had a fridge.
yes!
I had my own water cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I had
Yeah.
an office at the office, I had the little fridge and, yeah, you'd have whatever you needed in there.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
yeah, no,
My own printer.
ooh,
I did.
I didn't have my own printer. I was
I had my own
using,
printer.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, "No, I
Because
can't."
what we would pay like 10 cents a
Yeah,
page.
I
I
can't
don't know.
remember. Yeah,
I
you're
don't know.
talking black and white or color or what?
I know, right? But that's
Yeah.
why I got my own printer because I had the color printer.
Interesting, yeah. Yeah, I don't, those things I don't really remember. But yes, like having the office at the office, a bit of a double-edged sword because yes, I can't tell you how much like time I did waste, but was it time wasted?
No,
Nay, exactly. So,
no.
but yeah, I certainly don't deal with really any of that now. And when I do go into the office, I'm that person who's really not working. I'm just there and like whoever's there, we might be having catching up about
Right.
things and but it's good. It's good. I like it.
Well, and it'd be interesting to ask brokers now because I think a lot of the offices are getting smaller
Oh,
because there's less realtors needing space there.
well, let's talk about the evolution of what originally was Sutton Challenge. And then I just want to jump back to that. So we were Sutton, and then we turned
Yeah.
into Realty Execs, and now
Realty
you're
executives.
Maxwell.
Now we're
Yeah.
Maxwell. Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to get that on the record. I'm not sure why.
And I think they all remain because was Realty Executives Canadian?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they all
I
remain Canadian
don't
because
think of
Maxwell
that.
is definitely Canadian, and it's more like Western Canada, although I don't know if they've branched out east, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But what I did want to talk about was, yes, sort of our, like my original office, our office. When I first started there, we ended up like the physical office had already, I think, absorbed a bit of space that hadn't originally been there, kind of to
Yeah.
the one end of it, where like Daryl and Cookie were there, and like Zappy up on that end.
Yes.
And then we had a Dynalife lab that was in the building, and then they
Right.
moved out, and we took over that
Their
space.
space, yeah.
And so we had such a big footprint then.
Mhm.
And I remember I moved into one of the new offices. It was like at the very end, though. That was actually, I don't know. It
It
was,
took up most of the floor
yeah.
of the professional building, of the Collingwood professional building.
Yeah, and I think that was just such a sign of the times because that was kinda like 2007, 2008,
Yeah,
and then
mhm.
now it's probably down to like, it's the smallest it's been.
Got rid of that
The
the
Dynalife.
lab, yep, it got rid of that, and that was pre-COVID.
Yeah. Oh, goodness, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
that
was,
they got rid of it.
yeah.
And then they also had the other side
That's,
too.
yeah, that side that they had at the top, yeah, so
Right.
they're smaller than I've ever known them, but that is,
Mhm.
again, a sign of the times, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
So then what about you? Remember why you left, Realty Executives?
well, why I left? Well, I mean, it's a good question. Like, it's still kind of my favorite office. Like, there were
Yeah.
no, that was what made it so hard. There was no
But
bad blood.
but
Maybe
what
you
was
remember,
interesting well, no, because
but
what
what do
was
you
it
remember?
well, this is what I find interesting, especially when you started saying that when you started, you didn't feel like you could go to Remux because they were, too big.
Yeah.
And then you left Realty Executives and went to Remax.
Yeah, because I was big.
Yeah, you felt like, "Okay."
Well, and yeah, totally. So I was kind of like, okay, I sort of have gone and cut my teeth and become quite successful and I'm doing well. Now it's time that I can go to Remax is basically, I don't know. I
And we've
don't, it
always
was,
had this argument.
yes, here's an argument Michelle and I often have.
Okay, because also the other reason you went back I'm laughing here because I just think this is so funny. So you went to so then you left Maxwell Challenge and you went to Remax,
Mhm.
and then you stayed at Remax for a bit, and then you went back to
Maxwell.
Maxwell?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think it was Maxwell. I
No.
think it was
Oh, it was,
Remax. You went or not Remax,
I
sorry,
went to Realty Exec.
Realty Executives, but a
Diff,
different brokerage.
yeah, so different, but it was actually people who had started a brokerage who were out of the original
Out of the
brokerage.
challenge
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
So this is what can get a little confusing, I think, to the general public, is that there are brands. So Maxwell is a brand, Challenge is the brokerage,
Yeah.
right? So under the brand Maxwell, there is Devonshire and there's Polaris,
And that was Progressive.
right? And
Mhm.
Progressive too
Yep.
under Maxwell.
That's the one I was at.
And then also under Realty Executives, you had the different brokerage names. Same with Remax, right?
Yep.
You have like your River City, Excellence, Elite, all under the brand Remax, but different brokerage names.
Correct.
So you had gone back to Realty Executives Progressive, and then when Realty Executives changed to Maxwell, you were like, I'm out.
Yeah, that's 1,000. So, yes.
It's like, what's this Maxwell brand? Nobody knows Maxwell. I'm out.
Yeah, that's correct. The first time, yeah, so when I was out of my first office, loved my first office, and here's another memory I have with Gary Zimmel. So that's our broker, so he basically runs the office, helps us with, whatever we need, and he has been a great broker. Like, I think he's very loved in the community. And so anyways, so when I went in to tell him I was going to another office, I still remember I came into his office and I sat down across from him and I couldn't really say anything, and I remember just bending down and putting my
Aw.
I know. I put my head on the desk and I was like, and he said, "Where are you going?" I felt like I was breaking up with this, like, you're a really great guy, but
I'm
you're
getting
not.
chills.
Oh, no, I know. Oh my God. Anyways, yeah, no, I still, like, I will always remember that moment yeah. And so that was like a very hard thing I had to do. Yeah. Oh.
And he knew.
He knew, yeah, like, I came in and I couldn't even say anything, and I put my head on the desk, and he said, "Where are you going?" So off to Remax I went.
So I have to remember that move when I decide to leave.
But I couldn't even say anything because it was nothing against him, the office, that is one thing. I have been out of a few offices. It has been over 22 years now, but it's like, and the Remax I'm at now was amalgamated with the Remax I was at back in the day, but every office I've been at has been a good office. There's been no, like, certainly agents come and go and do different things and can be bad blood and whatever else. Like, nothing like that. I have nothing bad to say about any of my brokerages, and I feel confident, they would say the same. And, so
But sometimes it's just time to
change. It's an evolution. And
Yeah.
so the second time I didn't feel the name change. Michelle and I do argue a little bit, or have opposing views about
brands and their
about
importance.
yeah, for sure. And yeah, when they made that change from Realty Execs to Maxwell, like, of course, it was kind of, I think, in the spring. I was busy. Literally, Remax Elite had a physical location in the same complex around the corner. Like, I literally
Right.
just, like, went around the corner and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hey, sign me up." Like,
Right.
so yeah, that's
And
how
I
that
think it
happened.
was a good fit.
You know what? That's not a yes or no. Like, I'm happy
Mm.
to be there. Um, yeah, like, and I do. It's interesting. I don't know how much I should say.
How much you should share.
I'm
We
happy.
can edit in post.
Listen, this is our second episode. We don't want to edit. We're like, what? So, anyways, yes, I'm very happy I made that move.
That's it for this episode. Join us next time for Now We're Talking. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody.